It's got to be one of the most violent and unpleasant experiences our bodies can put us through. But what if I told you it's also one of our most sophisticated and, frankly, vital defense mechanisms? Okay, let's dive into the fascinating biology behind your body's ultimate eject button.
Yeah, we've all been there, right? That awful, queasy feeling, the cold sweat. It's a moment we'd all much rather forget. It's a universal human experience for sure, but it's so much more than just getting sick. So, what is really going on behind the scenes? What's pulling the trigger on this incredibly powerful reflex? And how on earth does your body manage to orchestrate such a complex and, well, forceful event? That's exactly what we're going to break down. Okay, so to really get this, we've got to start with the basics. Vomiting isn't your body malfunctioning. Actually, far from it. It's a highly evolved, powerful protective reflex.
The fancy medical term for it is emesis. And what it is the forceful, not passive, expulsion of whatever is in your stomach and even the top part of your small intestine. The key word here is forceful. This is an active, totally coordinated event.
And, it almost never just happens out of the blue. It comes with a whole suite of warning signs that are all run by your autonomic nervous system. You get that horrible feeling of nausea. Your mouth might suddenly fill up with saliva. You start sweating. Your heart starts racing. These are all signs that the system is gearing up for action. So, what pulls the trigger? What are the alarm bells that tell your body it's time to hit that big red eject button? Well, it turns out there are a few different kinds of alarms.
The triggers generally fall into three big buckets. First, you've got neural triggers. Think of these as distress signals from an irritated organ. Then there are chemical triggers, which happen when your body detects something nasty in your bloodstream. And finally, believe it or not, there are psychic triggers, which come directly from your thoughts and emotions.
And the range of these triggers is just, wow. A neural trigger could be a direct distress signal from an inflamed organ, like with gastritis. But a psychic trigger, that can come straight from your brain's higher centers. The mere sight or smell of something disgusting, or even really intense anxiety, can be enough to kickstart the whole process. It's a perfect, if unpleasant, example of that powerful mind-gut connection. And this is such a great example of how a neural trigger doesn't even have to come from your digestive system. Take labyrinthitis. It's an inner ear infection. It messes with the part of your ear that's in charge of balance. Your brain starts getting all these conflicting signals about where your body is in space, and that sensory confusion is such a powerful distress signal that it can trigger the vomiting reflex. This is basically the root of motion sickness too. Okay, so we've got all these different triggers, but where do all those signals actually go? Let's head up to the brain's control center and meet the mission commanders who are responsible for launching this whole operation. And you gotta understand, this whole thing isn't just random chaos. It's a finely tuned sequence that's coordinated by a very specific network in your brainstem. Signals from your gut, your inner ear, even your higher thoughts, they all converge right here, in this one command and control region.
The main hub for this operation is a region that's very appropriately called the vomiting center. Think of it like mission control. It doesn't really decide whether to launch, but once that decision is made, it's the part of the brain that hits the button and executes the command, coordinating every single muscle involved in this complex process.
So if the vomiting center is mission control, who's the one giving the launch codes? Well, a lot of the time it's this incredibly important area called the chemoreceptor trigger zone, or CTZ for short. Think of the CTZ as the detective, or maybe a perimeter guard for your brain. It's constantly sampling your blood, on the lookout for any chemical intruders. Toxins, certain drugs, you name it. Now, here is the absolutely crucial part. The CTZ is located in an area of the brain that is not protected by the blood-brain barrier. And this isn't a mistake, it's by design. This little loophole allows the CTZ to directly detect harmful stuff circulating in your bloodstream that the rest of your brain is totally shielded from. And when it detects a threat, it sends an urgent alert straight to the vomiting center, telling it, it's time, initiate the launch sequence. Okay, so the alarm has been pulled, the order has been given. Let's look at the incredible mechanical process that follows. It's a powerful, step-by-step chain reaction. First, this really weird thing happens called reverse peristalsis, where contents from your intestine actually get pushed backwards into the stomach. Next, your body prepares. You take a deep breath, and your airway slams shut to protect your lungs. Then comes the main event, a violent, coordinated squeeze from your diaphragm and abdominal muscles, while at the same time, the sphincter at the top of your stomach opens up. There's just nowhere else for the contents to go but up and out. Whew! The event itself is over, but the story isn't quite done. The aftermath can be pretty significant, so let's just briefly touch on how to manage the fallout. Now, even though it's a protective reflex, if it goes on for too long, it can actually get pretty dangerous. The most obvious risk, of course, is dehydration, but you also lose critical electrolytes like potassium, which can affect your muscles and even your heart. And because you're losing so much stomach acid, it can actually throw off your body's entire pH balance, a condition known as alkalosis. So, managing the fallout is actually pretty straightforward. First, you have to treat whatever caused it in the first place. Second, you absolutely must replace those lost fluids and electrolytes. And finally, you can use anti-vomiting drugs, which are called antiemetics. And here's where it all connects back. Ever wonder how motion sickness pills or those powerful drugs for chemotherapy work? A lot of them work by directly targeting and quieting down that CTZ, our perimeter guard, preventing it from ever sending the alarm signal to the vomiting center to begin with.
So, yeah, the next time you have to go through this, maybe you'll think about it just a little differently. Is it just a miserable, awful reflex? Or is it one of your body's oldest and most powerful protectors, a messy but magnificent defense system that's just working to keep you safe? Something to think about.